You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back, Rodgers, for Black and White Sports 2. Well, we're going to talk about ESPN and Charter Spectrum, the cable company, that, of course, is in a massive dispute right now with Disney over everything that is Disney-owned, and that includes the ESPN brand of networks and everything that goes with that. And as we all know, the world exploded last week when ESPN and Spectrum decided to cut coverage literally as Utah versus Florida was kicking off on what was sort of seen as the actual opening to college football. Yes, there was Notre Dame and Navy, and I think one other game, maybe USC had played prior to that, but that was a Thursday night game, no NFL, and everybody sat down. They were ready to rock. One of the few things worth consuming on ESPN is live sports. It's about all they got left. Now, excuse me if I'm not going to take ESPN or Disney's side of this. Why? Because it has long since been known for 30 damn years that your cable bill, your satellite bill, or your streaming bill, like I've got Sling, I've had Fubo, all those things, they are so expensive because of freaking Disney and ESPN and their perceived value of that product. There have been all this as their viewership is hemorrhaging. Their studio shows, they have dropped off the face of the planet on ratings. And they fired so many great personalities that were over there, and they are really spinning their wheels. College Game Day, I did a video over on the big channel this last weekend. People pissed. They're looking up. They see Pat McAfee, no David Pollock, and Big and Rich gone. I mean, the theme song that really, I think College Game Day was the singular best still original studio product that ESPN had left. And they've screwed the pooch on that. I'm over to Big Noon Kickoff now over at Fox Sports. So let's get to this, because ESPN has issued a statement, and what they're trying to do, of course, is get everybody on their side. Now, it's no secret, nobody has a lot of love for cable companies, and cable companies are dying. They're a dying breed. But there's no doubt ESPN is trying to get a hell of a lot of money out of a cable giant right now. Really? You sort of have bad versus evil going on here, okay? I guess it's up to you to decide which one of the two is who. Personally speaking, no matter what, because of some of the content that Disney has put out, I'm going to say Disney is the evil one. They're so evil, they're evil. Shout out to Donald Pleasance, rest in peace, in the great Halloween movie. This is pro football talk. And the one thing, look, me and Florio don't agree on everything. I love his NFL coverage when he doesn't wade off the subject into other things, like Colin Kaepernick, for crying out loud. But the one thing I can give Florio credit, the one thing that me and him would absolutely see eye to eye on, is our disdain for ESPN, because he can't stand them. And who can? Who can these days? Disney and Charter Communications have a corporate dispute that has cost millions of Spectrum customers to lose access to all Disney-owned networks, including ESPN. On Sunday, ESPN issued a statement regarding the situation, titled, they wrote a piece, I guess. It's titled, quote, "Here's what you need to know about the dispute between Spectrum and Disney Entertainment." I mean, and look, Florio just hits him with it. It's a predictable propaganda piece aimed at getting consumers to pressure Charter to cave in its position. Look, cable bills, satellite bills have been insanely high for a long time. Even streaming bills, they're getting up in that $100 range now a month. I mean, we kind of jumped out of one frying pan into the fire on that, okay? And there have been estimations that literally ESPN and Disney is upwards of $30 of your bill. That's how much they are adding on to people's satellite bills, cable bills, streaming bills, all that sort of thing. And what this is ESPN wanting even more damn money. Quote, to cut through the noise, here are some important points to consider as the dispute disrupts one of the biggest TV weekends of the year, the message explains. Of course, they've bolted. People, I saw an amazing amount of people that went off to YouTube TV. The bias is obvious and inherent. Consumers are smart enough to see that, and the message from ESPN is consistent with corporate alignment. Quote, although Charter claims that they value their customers, they declined Disney's offer to extend negotiations which would have kept Disney-owned networks up for consumers in the middle of perennial programming events like the U.S. Open and college football, ESPN asserts. So they're trying to say, hey, we were willing to negotiate, blah, 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 keep it on. Spectrum said, we're not paying your price. Click. They had enough. The cable company had enough. And again, you're talking about bad versus evil here, but they just said somebody's got to draw a line on ESPN and Disney. The reality, however, is like all negotiations, they have to end either in a deal or declaration of impasse. When is the perfect time for consumers to lose access to ESPN? There's always something either happening or coming soon. Currently, it's tennis and college football. In a week, it will be the NFL. Yeah, Monday Night Football game, New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers on 9/11. It's going to be one of the biggest football games of the year. Then comes hockey. Then comes basketball. The NBA, followed by college. Nobody watches the NBA, so they'll be all right. There's always something that consumers will miss when ESPN goes dark. The statement also addresses the heart of the dispute. Consumer access to streaming platforms that, in Charter's opinion, the increased subscription fees subsidize. Yeah. Even though Charter also claims to value Disney's direct-to-consumer services, the cable company is demanding these different services for free, as they have stated publicly, which does not make economic sense, the ESPN statement declares. Moreover, it does not make sense for consumers who desire flexibility to have our streaming platforms as standalone services. The message includes this borderline cartoonish effort to pressure Charter. Labor Day weekend is supposed to be one of the more relaxing holidays of the year in the U.S. Unfortunately, Charter has made it a stressful one for its customers, many of whom have been experiencing up to 3-hour hold times to cancel their cable subscription after Disney networks went dark. My God, ESPN pulled Labor Day weekend into this. I mean, really, making the evil cable company look even more evil because they decided to do this on Labor Day. The mouse is the devil, folks. Make no mistake here. All right, as bad as I don't like cable companies, and I hate them, I do. I'm not part of them anymore. I haven't been. I have had streaming for about 13 years. The moment that Sling went live, I was a customer their first day because I had had enough of Dish Network. Before that, it was cable. The entire dispute, by the way, Dish Network owns Sling. I get it, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. The entire dispute represents a shared failure by both Disney and Charter. Disney can blame Charter for requesting terms that don't make, quote, economic sense, and Charter can blame Disney for requesting terms that don't make, quote, economic sense. When it was time to go, their mutual bottom line positions as removal of the Disney channels loomed. They both failed to put the interest of consumers above their economic objectives. Disney clearly wants to do a deal. Near the bottom of the email, ESPN says that Disney deeply values its relationship with its viewers and is hopeful Charter is ready to have more conversations that will restore access to its content to Spectrum customers as quickly as possible. Eventually, a deal will get done. Someone will blink. Both sides will give a little. A solution will be found. Along the way, consumers will lose. Charter and Disney are equally responsible for that, despite any efforts by ESPN to paint Charter as the villain. The better message would be for ESPN to apologize for the failure of its corporate overlord to work in a mature and productive way with Charter to keep ESPN channels available to Spectrum customers. To ask Charter to apologize as well and commit to getting the situation resolved before the Jets host the Bills in 8 days, which frankly is a far bigger deal than the U.S. Open or college football. Anything other than that is just more noise that ESPN claims its self-serving statement cuts through. So he's calling BS. He's saying ESPN knows exactly what they're doing and who they're serving with this little statement. They're trying to paint the cable company as being the worst villain of the bunch when ESPN's over there, being the devil themselves, and they have been for a long time now, a decade. ESPN is an entity. Disney is an entity that we don't even recognize from 10 and 12 and 15 years and before that. It's a different animal now. And yeah, absolutely, both of them are at fault on this. But, yeah, they could keep their services going and try to do something for their customers. Nah, Disney doesn't give a shit. They want to make their money. That's all there is to it. And they've continued to raise prices on cable companies, etc., over the years. I wonder how many cable companies actually have gone out of business, not from streaming, but from the inability to come to deals with ESPN because they wanted too much for what they were trying to charge. And it's not just ESPN, it's the Disney Channel and all this stuff that your kids would want to watch and all that kind of thing. Again, the only two things I watch, college football, NFL. That's it. And it was College Game Day. That was the last studio show, and I clicked it off this last weekend because it was a dumpster fire. It just was. Tell me what you think. ESPN issues that awful statement trying to CYA. It's beyond me that people defend Disney. It really is. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you defend Disney? I mean, really? Peace, I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.